Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Excuse my voice, I feel a little bit under the weather, so I might sound a little congested because I am. So yeah, I've got just a little bit of a head cold going on, so hopefully that passes quickly. I wanted to share my favorite Christian fiction books that I read in 2019. You have probably seen all of these before in other videos, but I wanted one video where they're all together so that I can refer back to it too. Okay, I'm going to talk about the two historical ones first. So I have With Every Breath by Elizabeth Camden. This is set in the late 1800s and it's following these two characters that are trying to find a cure for tuberculosis. So there is like a bit of a medical spin to this, there's historical stuff going on, and they both have faith in God, so that plays a big part in their lives. But yeah, you just follow a girl and a guy that have their issues between each other, but they do work together to try to find a cure for tuberculosis, and they each have their own faith journeys that they're going on. There's some very interesting mystery with one of the characters that you slowly find out, and I really was intrigued by it. I liked every second of it. Yeah, so this is the first one that I really liked. And then the other historical one is called No Ocean Too Wide by Carrie Turansky. You follow like a family that is a part of child emigration where England is sending orphans basically, or unwanted kids as well, over to Canada to basically be slaves slash like you could buy a kid and have them work on your farm kind of thing. You kind of follow a couple perspectives because so there's an older sister who's out working trying to provide for her family because both the parents are sick slash died, and then the three youngest siblings end up getting sent overseas. So it's the older, you really are following the older sibling trying to get them back. And there is actually a romance in here, but it's very much not the focus. Like it could not be there and it would still be an amazing story. So if you're not a huge fan of romance but you still want some wholesome Christian stuff, this book is good for that. But what romance was there was like so sweet, and I really am excited to see where it goes. So that was the other historical Christian fiction book that I liked. Okay, so another author that I discovered this year was Susan May Warren. And the first book that I read by her was, I think it was It Had to Be You. So that's this second book here. I don't know what was going on with both of her series. So this book is from a Christiansen family series, and then she also has a Deep Haven series, and I just read random books from the series. I did not read anything in order, so it's kind of funny. So I first read It Had to Be You by her, and I was very impressed. This is like completely modern, and It Had to Be You in particular follows, here I'll try to zoom in on it, it's a little bit, there you go. It follows the daughter in this family, and she is helping her younger brother with his hockey career, and it's a love story between her and another guy on the hockey team. I'm gonna sneeze. It's rough, you know. I thought just it was a fun story. The romance was really cute, but I would recommend all of these books. I thought they were really good. I think Susan May Warren is a great writer, a great romance writer, and she definitely puts like little bits of mystery within her stories too, so that's fun to read. If you watched my favorite books of the year, her My Foolish Heart book, this is book 4 in the Deep Haven series, and this is the first book that I read from that series, so I completely read it out of order because then I went back and read book 3, and then this year I read book 1 and now I'm reading book 2, so I don't even know. But this book is my favorite book by her that I've read so far. It's one of my favorite books ever. The faith in here was just beautiful. I loved reading it, so really good. So she definitely like, it kind of varies book to book how much faith, I don't know. She always has lots of faith in it, but I guess I'm just looking for the real stuff, you know, how people actually live their lives with Jesus, and this book really had that. So I would super recommend My Foolish Heart, especially if you like kind of a cheesy love story that's like really sweet too. So the next author that I want to talk about is Katie Ganshert. I've talked about this book fairly often as well. It's called Wildflowers from Winter, and I really liked this book. I was very impressed. I think there are so many Christian writers out there that I just don't even know. I haven't even tried yet. This book is about a girl who has a very sad past. You start with her living in Chicago, I think, and she's estranged from her family because when she was younger, her dad passed away, and there's a whole thing with that. And then the church and pastor that her mom kind of attached to was just very damaging. Wasn't a gospel of grace at all, and yeah, kind of scary how that can happen in real life. So she has basically no faith. She's like, why would I want to believe in God when he is like this and he does this to the people he claims to love? So there's that going on. That's her stuff. And then you also follow this guy who works on her grandfather's farm, and her grandfather wills the farm to her and to him. They have to end up sharing it, and so she wants to sell it right away and just like get out of the town, and the guy wants her to keep it. And so it's the struggle of like, she wants to sell it, he wants to keep it. And I thought it was a really sweet story. She also has a best friend whose husband passed away right before she had a baby. So just a lot of sad real life stuff going on in this book, but there's hope, there's Jesus, and it was really fun to read. I really enjoyed it. Very impressed by how this author wove it all together, and I thought the ending was really good. And just little things in the plot made it really funny, and the banter between the characters was really funny. So yeah, I really liked this book as well. Definitely a favorite. And then I also read some books by Becky Wade. I really, really like Becky Wade. So this is book 2 in a companion romance trilogy, and this is my favorite of the trilogy. This book follows the oldest sister of 3 sisters, and she was, I don't think she was engaged to this guy, but they were seriously dating. And then something happened, I kind of forget, to make them break up. And then years later, she ends up being back in their hometown, and he ends up moving back to their hometown, and they see each other and they're like, oh, hi. And what stands out about this book is both of their faith journeys. Becky Wade is really good about including faith in her books. And yeah, it's the kind of faith that I want. I think that's why I like her books so much, because she shows them praying, she shows them just having that internal struggle with God and what they're supposed to do with their lives, and like with forgiveness and everything too. So yeah, really, really liked this book. Definitely my favorite. I really related to their faith struggle, so that was nice. I also read the 3rd book and the conclusion of this trilogy called Sweet on You, and this follows the youngest sister, and she has had this best friend growing up who has always loved her, but she has just always wanted adventure and like low commitment, so she was fine with them just being friends, but then something happens that makes her see him in a different light, and then it's them figuring out like, oh, do we like each other more than friends? Should we try being more than friends? And then there's also kind of a more intense mystery going on here that they're working together to figure out, so it was really fun. Enjoyed it for sure. Those are all of my favorite Christian fiction books that I read in 2019. So hopefully you guys got some recommendations from that. I know I've talked about all of these books quite a bit, so it's not like there's anything super new, but I will talk to you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye!